And here we are at the famous Baccarat table. Yeah, it is spelled and pronounced Baccarat, not Baccarat. This game is probably one of the most famous games of all casino games, probably because you've seen it on television, on movies, James Bond's favorite game. And it's really a very, very simple game. And of course, the origin of this game is also claimed to be French and Italian. The original game was called Chemin de Fer, meaning the Iron Railroad. And the similarities between the two games are really, they're almost identical, but there are some differences. In Nevada, you can only find Baccarat presently. However, Chemin de Fer is a licensed casino game, but there aren't any casinos that presently offer it. Chemin de Fer basically is a game that allows you to play against another player, just as you would in a poker game. Baccarat, the house accepts all bets and fades all the action. The game is very glamorous. I've seen games where the casino has actually been stuck upwards of $10 million in a single night setting to one or two players. There are certain casinos in Las Vegas that accept bets up to $100,000 per hand. That's phenomenal. That's why the game's so exciting. It always has a nice setting. There's always a beautiful ambience about it. The game is comfortable. You sit down. The dealers wear tuxedos. There's big and there's small games. There's Baccarat pits that are enclosed 2 to 3 games, or sometimes one big game, to smaller mini versions as we have right here. Let me tell you a little bit about the equipment and how the game is played. It's really very simple, so don't be intimidated of this game here. The only reason you see a Baccarat pit roped off or put away from the rest of the casino is because it's a little more exclusive. Normally the betting limits are anywhere from $20 on up. Some of the mini games like we have here, the betting limits are from $200 to $500. So you can play this game just as though you play 21. It really takes no brains. The game is played according to rules. You make no decisions whatsoever. You hit and stand according to the dealer's instructions. In some of the bigger games, of course, you're allowed to handle the equipment and the cards. In some of the smaller games, the dealer does all the work for you. So all you have to do is sit there, look pretty, and win some money. Baccarat is played with 8 decks of cards. And we have here 8 decks of cards. I'm not going to go through the procedure of shuffling them, but you know, this game here was dealt for many years with paper. And just to give you an idea what paper looked like, we're going to cut to a very famous Baccarat game that was dealt years ago in a very big casino. As you can see, Baccarat was dealt on a bigger game and with actual live currency. It's a remarkable sight to see dealers deal that game with a paper right in their hands. They can spring the bills out very crisply and very dramatically. This particular Baccarat game seats 9 players, and it's a mini version, very comfortable, has 8 decks of cards, a dealing box called a shoe, and in France they call it a sabot. There is seat numbers. I'm going to use this pin to help me point that correspond to your seat position, these seat numbers here. And of course there's a box for commissions, which we'll get into a little bit later, that corresponds with your seat. This would be number 7 for number 7, number 6 for number 6, and so on. There are basically 2 basic bets and 1 proposition bet in the game of Baccarat. You can bet on the bank side to win or the player's side to win. Now don't let that confuse you. When I say players, I'm not talking about you as a player. That's just a particular side to bet on. It could be called the Rams and the Cowboys, or heads or tails, or A and B, or black and red. But traditionally, it's been called bank, and player. Consequently, there's a bank place to bet here, a position for bank, and a position for player. Some games call it banker, and some games call it players or player. There's also another bet called a tie. I told you that was the proposition bet. That tie bet is right here, and that is, of course, if the game should come even or a tie. The object of the game is to get the highest score or total closest to 9. Now, before we start to play, let me just put the cards in the shoe. I'm not going to go through the shuffling procedure to save some time, but I am going to show you what has been very famous and legendary in a Baccarat game called combing the cards. This started with the French dealers in Monte Carlo, and it was very glamorous to see them do this real fast. And they'd stick these cards in here very fast, and that is called combing the deck like that. Of course, that was done just prior to the cut. So we're going to act as if we shuffled them, and then I'm going to let this young lady help me cut the cards. In the game, you just take the cut card and you cut them. Now, usually you cut at least a deck of cards, and she has, and the dealer then, of course, has to put the red card in to show that the shoe is going to be ended. Normally, this is done about 7 cards from the end. This has been called a game of kings and queens and jacks and tens don't count. And what I mean by that, I'm going to show you. Jacks and tens don't count in the game. And we'll show you how you add the cards up in just a second here. First of all, you have to have some chips to play with, so if you don't have chips that you've bought from the cashier's cage, you can get chips at the table just by asking for change. Would you like some change? Say change out loud, and remember, don't leave your money in a betting area. The dealer may think you want to bet the entire amount. What could happen here are 2 things. One, you could win $20 in this case, or lose the entire bet. The dealer will put the money out and say change, and count you out the money. Like this. In this particular game, since it is a $2 minimum bet, I am going to give her some $1 chips and 10 ones and 2 5s. Good luck to you. Of course, this money would go in the dealer's drop box. Since this is a live Nevada casino game, I don't want to drop that $20 bill in there. I want to keep that for later. Anyway, also we have some other things on the table I want to tell you about before we learn how to play the game. We have a discard tray. This is simply a soup bowl with a cap, and of course, all the previously used cards are put in there. We also have a little a lammer rack, and we use these marker buttons here. They have various amounts on them. The white one's $5, $10, $20, $25, $50, and $100. And in some casinos, of course, you have 500, and thousands, 5,000s, and even $10,000 marker buttons. That's used to keep track of your commission when you win on the bank side. The dealer does that, and he does that in these squares, these commission boxes. Well, let's try to play the game. First of all, of course, we have to burn some cards. The first card out tells the dealer to burn 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Those cards are put out of play, no one sees them, and the game begins. The dealer will say any bets, bet the bank or the player. Of course, in a live, bigger Baccarat game, there's generally 3 dealers to a table. This particular game only has one dealer. He calls the game and he deals the game. But if it was a bigger game, there would be a caller and two base dealers who would be payers and takers. So now you have a chance to make your bet. Well, my advice, bet on either side, bank or player. The way the game's designed, the bank has a slightly better edge, and that's in the rules. And I've enclosed a set of rules for you in with this tape, so you can refer to these rules that tell you how to exactly when to hit and when to stand. But really, you don't have to know them. The dealer conducts the game for you. So all you have to do is make your bets, and of course, just trust the dealer. Also, in this particular rule card, there's a score sheet, so you can keep track of previous wins and losses. In Monte Carlo, they keep a perpetual record of wins and losses. It's been going on for more than 200 years. So now it's time to make your bets. You make your bets before the cards come out of the shoe. So, Madame, would you like to make a bet? Of course, she wants to bet the player's side. She puts her money here. She's in chair number 9. We're going to move it over to chair 8 so you can see it a little bit better. So if you want to bet $2 here, you can put $2 here. That's the player's side. If you want to bet the banker's side, you can put your money there. Now, my suggestion to you, since this is a $2 minimum game, $2 is not the best bet to make because, quite frankly, I have to charge you 5% commission. So I don't have much change in the table except for quarters. So my advice is to at least make a $5 bet so I can charge you the correct commission. I'd charge her a quarter for $5, and if she would have bet $2, I still would have charged her a quarter. So the best bet would have been to make a $5 bet. So she's going to bet on the player's side. That's strictly a side to bet on. Now I'm going to deal 2 hands out, one for the player and one for the bank. So the dealer usually would say, any more bets? All bets down, cards please. First card for the player, the second card for the banker, bank side, player, and the bank. This is the first hand. If this was a big Baccarat game, a live game, where there was 3 dealers, the dealer would give these cards to the biggest bettor on the player's side, and he would act for all the players, or she would. And of course, the cards are kept face down so no one can see them. In a big game, they would slide the cards to you like this and ask you to turn them over and throw them back to me. Go ahead and look at them and turn them back to me, throw them back to me. The players have 2. But since this is a small game, we won't give the cards to the players. Players have 2. Now, how did I get 2? Well, as I said, jacks and 10s don't count. Jacks, 10s, queens, and kings don't count. So all you have to do is add them up and take the digit on the right-hand side. So this is 9 and 3 is 12. The digit on the right-hand side of 12 would be 2. So think of that in your mind. A 1's on the left, a 2 is on the right. So all you have to think of is 2. Just strictly forget 10s, jacks, queens, and kings. Players have 2. The bank has 1. Why is it 1? Because 7 and 4 is 11. The digit on the right is 1. At this point here, the rules call for a card for the player. Players now have 1 because it's 21 is 1. The bank has to draw a card. It is a tie, 1 and 1. 21 is 1, 21 is 1. The highest hand closest to 9 wins, so therefore it's a tie. No one wins or loses, unless she would have been betting on a tie hand, which pays 9 for 1. Okay, let's play it again. Also, I picked these cards up in order in case there's any dispute. After the cards go into the discard tray, of course, it's pretty hard to reconstruct the hand. So make sure you know what the hand was. And if you have any question, don't forget to ask the dealer. He'd be happy to help you. Okay, we're going to play it again. Same bet. Cards, please. This is the player's hand. This is the player's hand for all the people at the table betting on the player's hand. Players have 2. The bank has 7. The rules call for a card for the player only. Trust me, that's the rules. Another tie, 7 and 7. Let's play it again. Players have a natural 8. The rules say any 2 cards, first 2 cards, with an 8 or a 9, that is a natural. The hand is over with, okay? The bank has a chance to tie it. Players have a natural 8. A natural 9 would beat it. The players win an 8 over 5. 15's 5, 8 is 8. So we'll pay her even money, just like that. Nothing to it. Now she can pick her bet up. She can leave her bet as it lays, add to it. This is a new hand and a new bet. Are you all set, ma'am? Cards, please. Players show 6, they must stand. The bank has 4 and must draw 1 card. Players win 6 over 2. She wins again. She's going to bet $10. Players 5. The banker 6. Card for the player. Stand. The bank wins. 6 over 4. Here's a situation where the rules tell the bank that they must stand. Once again, I'm not going to get into those details of the rules, but I'm going to explain them to you just exactly how they work. The players had a 5 to begin with. Okay. By the way, I have to take your money. Players have 5, the bank 6. The rules say when the bank has 6, if they give the players a 6 or a 7 on the next draw, then the bank would draw. If it's any other card, the bank would have to stand. So here comes a 9. This now totals 14, which is 4. The bank can't draw because this was not a 6 or a 7. The bank wins. You add them all up again. 6 over 4. That's the end of the hand. Make a bet on the bank this time, so I can show you how the house charges commission. Hoping the bank will win. Players have a natural 9. Players win 9 over 6. You lose. I'm going to give you some more money because you're running out of money, young lady. Good luck. Make another bet on the bank. 20 bucks. So I can show them a little bit about commission. Players have 6. They must stand. This is the player's hand. The bank wins with a natural 9. A natural are the first 2 cards that total 8 or 9. Now, if she would have had a 9 with 3 cards, it wouldn't have been a natural. A natural tells the rule, dictate that the rules say there's no more cards drawn for either side. So the bank wins. She has $20 bet. We pay even money on all bets, except for the tie bet. So I'd give her 20 bucks. Now, because the bank has a small edge in the game, a very slight edge, and it's basically 1 to 2 points, we have to charge commission. So she's sitting in chair number 8. I'll take 5% of what she won and mark it in her commission box, just like that. $1 for every $20, okay? And that's what she owes. Then I'll move it back here. One thing more about commission, these particular buttons here are used when we have bigger amounts of wagers, or larger amounts. For instance, if $100 was the wager, we'd have to charge $5, and that'd be put up in front here like that and move back. If there was another $5, we'd put 5 in commission. We'd just keep going like that until it totaled 10. Then we would convert it into a different denomination. As the amounts got bigger and bigger, we would just keep adding this to the commission boxes. So if the player was finished and he wanted to leave, or the shoe was over with, I'd have to ask the player for $37 in commission. This is the rule card that dictates the policy of when to stand and when to draw. The player's hand tells us right across here, when player's first 2 cards total, 0 through 5, player gets a 3rd card. If it's a 6 or a 7, player does not get a 3rd card. And if it's a natural 8 or 9, neither the player or the bank gets a 3rd card. Now the bank's rules are below this. The bank plays under the same rules as the player, except when the bank's 2 cards total 3, 4, 5, or 6, and the player took a 3rd card. In the event of the exceptions, when the bank's first 2 cards total 3, and the player's card is anything but an 8, that means the bank draws. In other words, if it is an 8, the bank must stand. When the bank has 4 and the players draw a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, or a 7 as their 3rd card, then the bank draws an additional card. If the bank has 5 and the players draw for their 3rd card a 4, a 5, a 6, or a 7, then the bank draws a 3rd card. When the bank has 6 and the players draw a 6 or a 7 for the third card, then the bank draws. Otherwise, they stand. So just to repeat, when the bank has a total of 3, and they give the players anything but an 8, they must draw. If players receive a total of 8, that single card as the third card, the bank must stand, you total both sides, and a decision is made. When the bank has a 4, if the players draw a 2, 3, 4, 5, a 6, or a 7 for the third card, the bank draws. Any other card, the bank must stand, and so on. Now let's play again. Cards, please. These first 2 cards here represent the player's hand, which is right here. The players show 2. The bank 5. Now we refer to our rule book. The rules say when the players must draw and the bank has 5, if the next card, the third card that the players are going to get, which is over here, this is the players, this is the bank, if the next card is a 4, a 5, a 6, or a 7, then the bank will draw. If it's not a 4, 5, 6, or 7, the bank stands. You add the hand up and the hand is concluded. You determine a winner, bets are paid, and bets are taken. So now we're going to draw the third card for the players. That's the third card for the players. It's a picture card, which means it was not a 4, a 5, a 6, or a 7. So the bank has to stand. Now you add the cards up. 6 and 9, or 15 is 5, and 22 is 2. The bank wins this hand 5 over 2. So we take all the players' bets and pay the banker's bets. Let's deal another couple of hands. Cards, please. The players show nothing. Remember, we take the digit on the right. 20 would be 0. The bank also has 0. The rules say both sides must draw. So we give a card to the players. Players have nothing. Bank wins 9 over nothing. Let's deal another one. Cards, please. The players have 11, which is 1. The bank also has 1. Card for the players. Players now have 5. The bank has 1. That means the players win 5 over 1. Cards, please. The players have nothing. The bank also has nothing. Players draw a card according to the rules. The players now have 3. And the bank also must draw a card according to the rules. Players win 3 over 2. Pay the players. Let's deal another one. Players have 7. They must stand according to the rules. The bank has 6. No cards are drawn. The players win 7 beats a 6. This is the 7-6 rule, as in the rule book. Cards, please. Remember, you have no decisions in the game of Baccarat. All decisions are played by rules. The players have 1. The bank has 2. The rules say a card apiece. There's 2 for the players. There's a tie hand. The tie would pay 9 for 1. This is a tie. No one wins, no one loses. Only the tie bet would win, if you had bet on the tie. Cards, please. Players show 1. The bank 7 and must stand. The rules say the players draw 1 card only. Bank wins 7 over 6. Cards, please. Players nothing. Bank wins with a natural 9. Anytime you have an 8 or a 9 on the first 2 cards for either side, that's considered a natural. No cards are drawn. This time the bank had a natural 9, and they beat the players 9/0. Had the players had a natural 8, the bank still would have won with the highest natural. If they both would have had a natural of the same ranking, such as 9 and 9, it would have been a tie. Let's deal another one. Players show nothing, and the bank nothing. Players have 9. Now in this case here, it's not a natural because it's a third card, so it's just a total of 9. The bank has a chance to draw it by drawing one additional card according to the rules. Players win 9/0. 29 is 9, 30 is nothing. Players, a 7, they must stand according to the rules. The bank has nothing, they must draw a card. Players win 7, beats 6. This is the player's hand, this is the bank hand. Players win 7, beats 6. Players have 3, they must take a card, unless of course the bank has a natural 8 or 9. The bank has 2. This rule here calls for a card apiece. Players have 3, they draw a card, they draw a 10, they still have 3. The bank has 2, trying to beat the players. They didn't do so, so the players win 3, beat 2. You don't really have to know the rules to play the game. Once again, players have 2, the bank shows 2, players broke to nothing, 20's nothing. The bank's probably going to win this hand, and the bank broke their hand to 1, beating the players 1/0. Very, very simple. Now you've learned about the game of Baccarat. If you have any more questions about the rules, refer to the small rule book we've enclosed with this film. If you have any other questions about the game in general, how to play, how to bet, don't forget to ask the dealer. He's there to help you.